All right, guys, we are live with a very special guest, Jah Joyner, defensive end out of Minnesota, getting ready for the draft less than 2 weeks away. And I'm sure this journey has been a whirlwind for Jah. So we're going to get into kind of this whole process, what he's looking forward to coming up in the draft and beyond. So I'm looking forward to this conversation, but you guys already know what to do. Drop an SDS in the chat, smash that like button. Let's get into it all right now. Smash that like button if you haven't already. Love to see it. Jah, my guy, thank you so much for joining me, man. What are the vibes like? With the draft being less than 2 weeks away, how are you kind of feeling right now?
You think I'll feel nervous and anxious, but I'm honestly just excited, blessed to be in this opportunity. The emotions with my family and stuff like that to have me in this situation right now. So yeah, right now just blessed and just honored right now.
Yeah, definitely. So, I was actually kind of in my prep to kind of get ready for the interview that I'm having with you. I noticed you've been on with quite a few 49ers content creators. I think you were on with Larry, I think Steph as well, among other ones. How cool is it to see, like, obviously you're getting ready to transition into your next journey of your football career that started a long time ago. How cool is it to see, like, a fan base starting to kind of gravitate towards you? Because I didn't even know that they had done it. And I was like, oh snap, we all see the vision with Jaw. So how does it feel to like kind of see a fan base gravitating towards you?
I appreciate the love from your guys' fan base. My mom's actually a 49ers fan, so it's just pretty
Oh,
cool to look at those interviews after when she gives me feedback. But yeah, just blessed to be in this opportunity, obviously, and blessed to have that fan base surrounding you guys, and you guys see the talent, you guys see the guys that's coming from college and stuff like that. So appreciate the love.
how did your mom become a 49er fan? How
Oof.
are you a 49er fan as well? Did you have your own? You're like, I'm gonna stretch my wings and become a fan of my own team.
That is a very good question for her. I don't know how she became a 49ers fan, but I'm not. I wasn't growing up a 49ers fan, no.
Okay. Um, so as we kind of like transition and like get into this process for you, how would you describe this process as like a high level? Like if you're just kind of zooming out, how has it been since your last college game, since that situation has ended, and now you're getting ready for your career, which is, hopefully going to be a long career in the NFL. What has been how has this been for you from like a high level perspective?
I think the biggest thing that I was told, and just living through it now, there's no breaks in this process. After the game, you go from going right to training, getting ready for the combine, getting ready for the Senior Bowl, all those different things, getting ready for the pro day. So you're getting evaluated every day at that facility. So picking the facility, picking an agent, picking a financial advisor, all those things that I had to do and make a lot of decisions on my own. A lot of guys in my circle is very close to me, and that make those decisions as well, and help me out with those. So yeah, just a lot of decisions, a lot of busy work after the season. But yeah.
Sounds like a lot of logistical planning goes into the draft prep, right? Because you, like you mentioned, you got to find. I'm assuming you have multiple trainers, right? Would you have a, let's say, a combine trainer opposed to an actual like defensive line trainer, maybe a weight trainer? Like, do you have multiple levels of training that you're doing? And kind of navigating throughout this process?
Yeah, so when I picked the training facility in Florida at X3, that was really combine training. I worked with Saxon Say last off season, so I wanted to work with him again. So we worked on combine prep there and also just regular D line prep in terms of just drills and different things that I needed to work on with him. Coming back to Minnesota, coming back to my strength on my the strength staff here that developed me over the past 5 years. So I definitely wanted to come back here and train with them going into the draft after pro day. So that was the biggest thing for me. And then there's another defensive line coach here that I trained with over the years in Minnesota. So outside of the facility. So yeah.
That's cool. And so I kind of want to like circle back to where this all began for you. Like when you were playing high school ball, was like the NFL something that you thought was like, oh, I could make it to the NFL. This is the goal. This is what I want to do. Or did that kind of come along later on in your journey?
Yeah, definitely later on in my journey. Wasn't thinking about NFL in terms. I was the biggest like Eagles fan growing up, so I always looked at the NFL that way. But I didn't know if how far I'll go. I never looked that far until Coach Thierry, my high school head coach, brought the attention to getting me to some of these college campuses and different things like that. My first college campus I went to was Temple University, and seeing those guys compete, seeing those guys having the same body type as me, and that's when it opened my eyes. Like, oh shoot, I can actually like get to where I want to get, in terms of living, like doing the things that I wanted to do and get into the NFL. So, but growing up, no, that wasn't the case.
You're just playing ball and seeing what would happen, and then you had the realization like, okay, well, maybe I can do this, and maybe this is a part of my future. And so what was your recruiting process like coming out of high school? Did you feel like you were highly recruited, under recruited? um, what take us through that process for you?
Yeah, that was a crazy process that we all went through. My first ever going through that, so it was crazy, but super honored, super blessed to get recruited by all those coaches. I wouldn't say I was under recruited. I wouldn't say I was over recruited. I felt like it was even kill. Just blessed to get those opportunities to go to those schools. My first offer was to go to Rutgers. Um, and then they all piled up and they started coming. I actually committed to BC, and then I decommitted because the coaching staff changed. So I think the biggest thing was committing to a coach, committing to a head coach, and that was because I committed to a defensive line coach at BC. So committed to a head coach, seeing that he was going to be there for the amount of time I was going to be there. So that was the biggest thing, and the development on the field and off the field, that was the biggest thing for me, in terms of being able to put on weight and be and maturing as a man and stuff like that. So that was the biggest thing for me.
So that's cool. It sounds like your thought process was, I'm not trying to go to the biggest, flashiest school that might have the maybe some of the coolest gear, the sickest weight room. You're like, I'm trying to go to a place where they have the my best interest in mind in developing me as a player. That's pretty cool because I think there are so many different elements to why people might choose where they're going, but it really does sound like based on your mindset is you were looking for the place that was going to grow you as a player the most, right?
Yeah, definitely. It had to be the right fit for me and my family, and they opened me with open arms. Um, it was kind of crazy because I told a story a lot of times, but my defensive line coach that was there, he left on my official visit. So really committing to a head coach, really committing to their culture, that was the biggest thing. So yeah, it all worked out, and I'm glad it happened.
Yeah, and then you go on to have a great career at Minnesota. I mean, obviously, I would say that Minnesota isn't considered to be like a powerhouse or whatever, but you guys are producing NFL talent. I mean, you even just look at the draft and you got a couple guys coming out into this one. So, what was that experience playing at Minnesota, being able to be in the FBS, play against some big time colleges, and just again, really just building that confidence that, man, I can do this and I can do this at a high level?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy just that just looking back at the first win against Wisconsin when I was on the team, and the biggest win and Coach Flex, I felt like with beating Iowa in Iowa, all those memories I built there with those guys in that 2020 class that we brought in. I think that was the biggest thing. Just just sustaining the culture that they built under that Mariano class, and the things that they did in that 2019 year, going to the Outback Bowl and stuff like that. So sustaining the success that they already had going there, and that was the biggest thing, just improving every year. And wasn't able to get over the hump, obviously, but I think everyone had growth, and throughout every year going there. So it's pretty cool to see those guys at the combine. Pretty cool to see those guys at the Senior Bowl and stuff like that competing, and showing Minnesota why they're not only just a powerhouse, but they develop talent as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And so you mentioned the Senior Bowl. That's where I was able to see you for the first time. And heading into the Senior Bowl, I really wasn't familiar with a lot of the prospects that were out there. And so for me, it's a great like first impression of guys. And I'm like, who's Jah Joyner? I was like, he keeps flashing, like especially in the one-on-ones and things like that. And you could really see that like, yeah, this guy belongs here. Like, obviously, you see different levels of performance throughout the Senior Bowl. Certain guys stand out. Certain guys already come in preloaded with the hype, all of that type of stuff. How was your mentality heading into that week, knowing that you're going to have this opportunity to work with NFL coaches, to perform in front of general managers, head coaches, scouts? I think, when I look back at the Senior Bowl, I think a lot of the time where you were doing one-on-ones, you had John Lynch standing right down the line of scrimmage, who's the 49ers general manager. What was your mentality heading into that, and what was that process like?
The mentality going into that process was to showcase my skills. Um, first down, second down, third down. I wanted to showcase those. I wanted to show that I was an every down guy. Going to the Senior Bowl, so that was the biggest emphasis there. And then obviously showcase that I can compete against the highest level of the highest level. Pretty cool to go against all those top talents there. Just being a sponge and all those NFL coaches. Blessed to be coached by KJ Wright, someone that I looked at growing up, and those things like that. So a lot of then also being a sponge of all those players there. They have a lot of knowledge from their schools and what they look at and stuff like that. So it was pretty cool to go against those top talents, and play against those top talents as well. So definitely it was pretty cool.
I mean, I loved your guys' defensive line room because you were on the national roster, right?
Hmm.
You had Oluwafemi Oladejo. We had him on the channel a while ago, but he was awesome to watch and awesome to talk to. Landon Jackson, David Walker, yourself, Mike Green, Donovan. Like your guys' room was packed full of like impact edge players. And then you even have guys like Darius Alexander and Aeneas Peebles. Like, what was that like to be able to just like look around and be like, man, I'm standing amongst a bunch of guys that are going to have a lot of success in the NFL level, and just being able to be like, yeah, I could do this too.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of top talents, like I said, and obviously those guys had a really great career in their career as well. So um, Just- I don't size people up. I go out there
That's
and I
fair.
know what I can do in terms of my abilities. But yeah, those guys, just being a sponge of those guys, seeing what they see on the field, and everyone has a different mindset in terms of what they see. So just being a sponge, and so yeah.
Yeah, no, I like that. You want to control what you can control, and that's all it's about, right? It's not about like comparing yourself to this guy to that guy. It's just I got work to do. I'm gonna put my head down. I'm gonna get after it. You mentioned being coached by KJ Wright. Obviously, he is a 49ers coach. So, what was that experience like? Because he was a linebacker in the NFL for a long time, had a ton of success, won a Super Bowl, all that stuff. And what was it like being able to get that one on one? And was he able to really like basically just game you up on like what the NFL's like, what to expect, what they're looking for? What was that process like with
Yeah, I
working?
asked him a lot of questions in that whole process and that entire week. Um, in terms of just how he coaches and stuff like that. I love how he coaches. I feel like he's gonna get the best out of his players. He said he's a new coach, so he kind of was just being that new coach, I guess he was saying, but yeah, I feel like he's gonna be a lot of energy towards his room when he coaches and stuff like that. In terms of being a pass rusher, in terms of just what to look at and stuff like that, I think the biggest thing was him telling me all those different things and just being communicated what I looked at in terms of like those one on ones and stuff like that, and I was getting there trying to learn the playbook when I was there. So having those meetings with him as well, those are pretty cool. But having that one on one with him was pretty cool.
So, because the 49ers run the wide nine, I'm not positive exactly what you guys ran at Minnesota, but your hand was in the dirt a lot. Do you feel like that would be a scheme that you would fit in really well, just transition well to be able to play in that 9 or the 5? I don't know. I even see when I watch your game, I'm like, man, he could even play in the 3, like rush over a guard. Like you would be you seem like you would be a nightmare for guards, a little shorter arms, a little slower, and you have just such great length and speed that it feels like you could you could play pretty much anywhere on that defensive line. But do you feel like you would fit into that wide nine scheme that the 49ers run?
Definitely, and we kind of stressed that last year under in Minnesota under a new defensive coordinator that was there. We had a lot of techniques that had me in the 9 earlier in the
Okay.
year, so it was pretty cool to do that finally. But definitely being an edge rusher, I like being in a 9 technique right there. I've obviously played the 5 and I played the 3 and I also played the 1 last year, so it was pretty cool to move down the line and so yeah.
I see. I like that. We've had a couple players really thrive in that role. I think of Arden Key. He came out of LSU. We had Charles Omenihu. He was on the Chiefs last year, in the last couple years. But Chris Kosurik really has a knack, and I think right now we have Yetur Gross Matos is kind of like when I look at your game, you look like a guy who can rush off the edge. Like that's not an issue at all. And you also look like a guy to me who can play base down. And I think you mentioned earlier on what you wanted to prove was being a first, second, and third down defensive end, right? Like being able to be on the field all three downs because that's the premium in the NFL. Like we do see examples of guys who are only base down guys, guys who are primarily pass rushers. But the fact that you have what to me feels like the full skill set to be able to do both. You can be a three down guy on the edge, or you can be a guy who wreaks havoc on the interior. That seems like pretty valuable. Have teams expressed that as being like that's a valuable trait that you have?
Yeah, definitely. If you're more versatile, you get more opportunities. So that's
Right.
that's the biggest thing. And some of the scouts talked about. I was only that they talked to at the time. That was the only person that went down the entire line and rushed at every position. Um, so that they talked to that point in time. So it was pretty cool to hear that. Pretty cool to get the opportunity in Minnesota to go through the entire line and them having the trust in me to play in every position there. So yeah.
That just gets me spinning. I'm like, how does Ja fit with the San Francisco 49ers? And I'm like, man, obviously we got Nick Bosa on one side. On the other side, we got Yetur Gross Matos, but like I said, he's kind of an inside out. We've got Sam Okiwanu, who's just an ascending guy, but it kind of feels like, your skill set would fit perfectly with what the San Francisco 49ers are looking for. Obviously, we'll find out what that looks like in about 2 weeks from now. So, but just thinking out loud, I just like, man, this guy feels like he could be a really solid fit. And again, yeah, we would love you for a 3 down edge rusher, but I was like, man, what? And you mentioned it, right? It's like it's all about opportunities. The more you can do in the NFL, it's the more you're going to be on the field, right? And
Hmm.
anytime you can offer that up, that's just really really big. I kind of wanted to geek out with you a little bit on like technique and stuff. How do you go into setting up your pass rush plan for a game? Does it start with film and then it transitions into, well, this is what I'm good at. This is how I can see what I'm good at, can attack their potential weak spot. How do you set up your plan heading into a game?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing after we just went through a game plan of looking at offensive linemen that we already faced, going to the next offensive lineman and what does he do well, where's his eyes, where's his feet, where's his punch. Those are the biggest things. What I look at, we also look at I look at first quarter. I look at fourth quarter. What is his tendencies when he's tired? What's his tendencies when he's not? I think that's the biggest thing. So. Is it a horizontal setter? Is it a vertical setter? And when we define those as horizontal setter, he's turning his shoulders towards the sideline, and you have a lot of counters in that. So a lot of counters, a lot of power in that because he's opening his shoulders. If he's a vertical setter, it's more so speed rush. And that's what I excel at. So when I look at that, I kind of get I'm start drooling the entire week because I get to do my speed rush. But yeah, a lot of those things, a lot of those techniques, a lot of those tendencies that those offensive linemen have. Um, Definitely look at those, and obviously some of the things that I'm working on is looking at myself, evaluating myself in terms of what I do well and what I don't do well, and what is my tendencies when I have my foot back or things like that. So yeah, it goes both ways.
I love to hear it. And you mentioned the speed element. Dude, I know you ran a 4.6, but you got clocked at running over 22 and a half miles an hour on your 40. Were you surprised by that? Because to me, I'm like, that's insane. Like the numbers that you put up from a speed standpoint at the combine, I was like, I think you were first in that particular metric. You were first and second in pretty much the majority of speed metrics that I had seen for certain points. Like, did that surprise you that you ran that fast? You're like, nah, 22 and a half. That's a normal day in the office for me.
Or your mic is staticky. My fault, but I heard the question. Um, those numbers don't surprise me. I was always predicated on my off my speed. What was kind of looking just back, just looking at the numbers after I ran, was my 10 yard split and how I didn't like the 10 yard split, and those are things that I was working on. So I didn't like that. But if I would have got that, I probably would have ran like a 4.5. Um, but my back end speed has been consistent in my training at Minnesota and in training at Florida. So that hasn't surprised me. The miles per hour, and you've seen that senior bowl as well. Those things like that. So they had opportunity to go on kickoff. That was my first time kickoff ever. So I was like geeked to go on that. So showcasing my speed on that as well. It was pretty
That's awesome. Yeah, it does sound like we are having some mic issues. Hopefully, you can hear me. We'll try to get through a couple more, and if it continues, we'll get you out here. You've already given us a bunch of your time, so we really appreciate it. You mentioned the thing about thinking. So you clearly believe you can run a 4.5 at your size, which is crazy fast. So that's pretty awesome. I saw though that it was really important for you to have your parents at the combine. What was it like to be able to go out and experience that with your parents in the stands watching?
Yeah, the biggest thing of why I play this sport is because of them and playing the sport through them, having the opportunity for them to go to these games and experience what I'm experiencing, whether that's trying new restaurants and having these getting out of Connecticut, and that was the biggest thing for me. My mom actually had to work that day, and I was like, "Mom, you have to take off because of the opportunity that I have." And it wasn't about me. I always told them that it was always about them, and I always wanted them to experience what I was experiencing. So the combine itself, looking back throughout the years and how honored I was to even get accepted to the or get invited to the combine, I definitely want them a part of that. So it really, like I'm saying, like it wasn't. It's not about me. It's about them and my family, and having them experience that is pretty cool. So um, seeing them running up there in the bleachers and after the combine, and seeing their faces, seeing how happy they were, just brought joy to me. And so yeah.
And I'm sure their faces are gonna light up pretty big when your name gets called on draft day, and it's gonna be another just special experience that you get to have with your family. I'm assuming you're gonna have your family around. Is that kind of the plan for draft day?
Yeah, definitely. I'm still debating if it'll be more intimate or I'll have a lot more people there. I'm still debating on that, but yeah.
That's cool. I'll get you out on a couple more. Have you met with the San Francisco 49ers at all throughout this process? And if so, did they give you the impression that like you could be someone that they could be interested come draft day?
I haven't met with anybody formally, but I met with a lot of people informally and a lot of scouts and a lot of things like that. So I definitely met with the 49ers throughout the process, and yeah, definitely talked about their scheme and where they will see me on the edge, and seeing that at the Senior Bowl as well helped. So definitely that helped.
Cool. Cool. All right. I'm gonna get you out on this last one. We got a super chat from Silent says, what was your toughest matchup in college and your most satisfying play?
My most satisfying play last year against Illinois. That was a pretty cool one. Getting a game winning
Yeah, I know what
sack.
you're talking about.
That was and getting the ball out. That was our first time beating Illinois in a long time, so that was pretty cool. And I think the toughest matchup that I went against was I think like going against Iowa every year. Those are always tough, and they have a really good culture there, just like Minnesota. So bring your A game. Um, you're gonna know. So those are always tough.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Ja, dude, I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for hopping on the channel. We really do appreciate it. Obviously, you've developed quite a little fan base amongst the San Francisco 49ers. So maybe we'll make moms proud. Hopefully get you on the Niners come draft day. But regardless of where you go, man, rooting for you, wish you nothing but success, and just hope this process and journey brings everything that you were hoping for. And again, thank you so much for hopping on, dude.
I appreciate you having me. Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate it. I'm gonna talk with the people. Feel free to hop out, but thank you again for joining, my guy. Appreciate it.
Sound good. Thank you.
All right, man. All right, Jah Joyner. I know the mic cut out there a little bit at the end, but super chilled, dude. Again, another guy that I could see fitting in with the San Francisco 49ers because of like he mentioned his versatility. He strikes me as a guy who can bring speed off the edge, but I do think he is absolutely capable of playing on the interior as well. And we've seen so many guys have success with the San Francisco 49ers in that role. And I think when you look at the 49ers current defensive line depth, having more guys like that wouldn't be a bad thing. Like having guys that have the ability to be versatile, rush off the edge, rush off the interior. Obviously, we know that, at least we expect, defense is going to be a big emphasis for this draft for the San Francisco 49ers. So if they can get guys like Jaw, depending on where he goes, he could definitely be a great fit for the 49ers. So we'll see what ultimately happens, but appreciate him hopping on. Appreciate everyone in the chat. And I'm out of here for now, but appreciate y'all. Peace.